Hello, I am Dennis Green. I'd like to welcome you to the church development presentation of how to conduct a year-end ask in a manner that complements your capital campaign. I worked in the secular world for about 10 years doing fundraising before I started church development 30 years ago. So that means I've been at this for 40 years, and I know you're thinking, oh, that's when he was born. No, but almost. Church development exists just to help you with your church capital campaign. And we've conducted hundreds of them and raised together capital and annual funds over $1 billion. And I'd like to share all that I have learned with you. It doesn't cost anything. We make our money doing capital campaigns. If you'd like to do a capital campaign, please call me. I would love to give you a sales pitch. It wouldn't cost anything, and it would be my pleasure. So I not only read and manage campaigns, I donate to many things. And as a result, those campaigns educate me. Now, let me tell you a little story about the new Camaldoli Hermitage in Big Sur. My wife and I have been there. It is high on a hill overlooking the ocean, right about in the midline of California. It's just spectacularly beautiful. I just received their year-end appeal to complement their capital campaign. I think it's just wonderful. Now, Hermitage is like a monastery. The monks live there who devote their entire lives to prayer, but you and I can go there and visit and stay and conduct a self-directed or another kind of retreat. They welcome us. They even have a little gift shop. Well, they do all the things that we'll talk about in today's webinar. They present what is it, they present the why, and they talk about the specifics of what their needs are with a simple tear-off pledge card and a return envelope. We need to do online giving. We need to make QR codes and clicks an easy way to proceed, but still lots of people write checks. So get ready for that. Okay, so I have a lot to share with you and we only have a few minutes. So I'll move quick as a bunny. Now, I would like you to put your questions in the chat and I will respond to those as efficiently as possible. So let's leap into action, okay? More than 30 years of experience, hundreds of churches. You can share this webinar with your committee, your co-workers. It's free. I'll send you the link. Since you signed up, I'll send you the link. Feel free. And my number's there too. It'll be at the end as well. Call me, email me with any questions. I do a lot of volunteering. It'd be a pleasure to help you. Our agenda will cover these 3 points. Number one, I want to impress upon you the macroeconomics of how much money actually flows in this month, December. Number two, I want to inspire you to ask. Please do the ask. And I have some return on investment for those of you who are economics-oriented people. From a business perspective, a year-end ask has a spectacular return on investment. Then I'll dig into the details on how to proceed. I'll give you a step-by-step system for implementing your ask that we've done over and over and over, and it seems to work. Pardon me. So I'll give you the action plan, okay? So a little bit about church development. We've been at it right about 30 years and helped lots and lots of different organizations with their capital campaigns. The big difference really is the ask is based in prayerful discernment and not pressure. We have found that it is much more pleasant experience to proceed in that manner rather than the high pressure. Here's a pledge card. I filled it out with the amount you need to give. I'll wait while you sign it. So we don't think you should do that. We think we should offer a time of prayer and discernment. We definitely want to ask. We want to communicate that we have a very important need. It is worthy of your consideration. It is congruent with your values. But you don't have to respond this minute. Take it into your alone time, your me time, your discernment time. And here's a guide for that. Take a week or two to think about it and then turn in your pledge card when you are ready to do that. Now, believe it or not, it's counterintuitive. We actually raise more money doing that than we did with the high pressure method. Isn't that interesting? Not only that, but weekly giving increases dramatically. And we have a spike in planned gifts as well. So there are 100 different ways to rationalize this, but happy people give more money. So think about an alternative the next time you are considering doing a capital campaign. Let me know. If I give you a sales pitch, you'll at least get to know the possibilities that are out there. Our work proceeds from this scripture, and it fits with modern psychology that has extended from Maslow onward. The concept of self-actualization is a deeply spiritual phenomenon. It begins with this idea that everything we have is a gift, and we might not really have done anything to deserve it, but we've got this wonderful gift. So the question is, what do we do with it? I myself received an unusual gift in July of 1979. I took a float trip down the Congo River, 5 days. Ended up at the Atlantic Ocean, went for a walk, ended up in a war zone in Angola with a gun to my head. And I thought I was going to die. The prayer that came out of me was not, "Dear God, if you get me out of this, I promise I'll be good." But instead, the prayer that came out of me, which surprised me, "Dear God, into your hands I commend my soul." It didn't kill me. The prayer worked. A miracle happened. My life was changed. And as I was sprinting away from the scene, it occurred to me, man, I'm in overtime. I'm in extra minutes. What do I do with the rest of my life? And that is the seed of stewardship. We are stewards of all that we have. So what do I do with that? And that's when my life started to change, and I began to think of how can I make the world a better place? And it has been a very, very healthy issue to ruminate upon on a regular basis. What can I be doing today to make the world a better place? It's very different from my self-centered childhood, but it's resulted in a lot of joy in my life. So church development, there's a team of us, and it's a really competent group of people. I learn something from my coworkers every day. For instance, the word compliment. There's two different words with a one letter spelling different. To give someone a compliment is to express your admiration. To conduct a complementary activity is to have a synergistic effect. So today's is a complementary, a synergy with your annual and capital campaign giving. So anyway, it's a great organization. We read a lot of books, we share what we learn, and we'll share that with you. We've conducted lots of campaigns. I've written 4 books. I'll give that book to you for free. If you're interested, give me a call or send me an email. It's got a lot of research in there, case studies and action adventure stories as well. We borrow from every source, including behavioral economics. Daniel Kahneman is one of my heroes. I'm a member of a lot of associations. I borrow everything I can to benefit you as you plan your capital campaign. So now let's dig into our agenda with these 3 topics. Year-end giving, there's a lot of money available. Number 2, please do something, please ask. And number 3, here's how to ask. Okay, now I pulled up Our Lady of Lourdes Parish in Atlanta because it's one of my favorite churches I ever worked with. The people there are marvelous. Their pastor is magnetic. Their staff and volunteers they make me want to be a better person. I'm honored to be part of their team. Now, they had a very successful capital campaign. As they are considering a year-end gift, they and you got to remember that 20% of all charitable giving across all nonprofit organizations, which is about $400 billion, lands in December. Now, online giving kind of leads the way. 1/4 of all online giving happens during the month of December. Why is that? Now, think about your own self and your own tax planning. We're all acutely aware that we have to pay taxes, and we're aware that donations are tax deductible. Those people who have a high level of wealth have been notified in advance of today what their year-end profit perspective is going to look like. The Pareto principles, common factor from economics, 80-20 rule, 80% of the money will come from 20% of the people. The top strata of economics have tax advisors that let them know what their year-end net position is going to be. So start thinking about year-end giving. So there is an awareness. Now, our country has this weird obsession about retail spending, giving gifts. We've all got to go buy stuff to bombard each other with things. That's what we do. I'm fairly critical of it. I would prefer that we weren't so materialistic, but we are. Okay, so it does have a positive impact on giving. Giving is a wonderful thing. I love Christmas trees. I love the joy. It has a big benefit on us. So about $80 billion is going to be donated this month. The flow exists. Alexis de Tocqueville, recognizing this factor many, many years ago, noted these Americans are unusual. They start charities, they pitch in. Matter of fact, the way we even run churches is radically different from the way other countries do. Do you know in Greece, the priest, the pastor of a church is an employee of the state? You know, in Northern Europe, if your church is 100 years old or older, ownership reverts to the state. Did you know the most generous nation on earth is Myanmar? The least charitable nation on earth is China. Cultures are different. We happen to have this marvelous philanthropic culture. So let's go with the flow. Okay, it's there. Please tap into that flow. So number 2 is where I want to spend a lot of time, and I want to cover a case study. This visitation church, which I dearly love, populated with lots of people that I care for, has such a phenomenon they could ask for money for. The best ask is one that has tangible results. 97% of your donors really require that there be a real concrete outcome of their giving. Now, this is a little bit of a stretch, but 5% of the population tithes. That means 95% does not. 95% has a lot of room to grow, Now, I myself have had a lot of interaction with people who do tithe, and I think it's fascinating. Someday I'm going to write a book, The Secret Life of Tithers. They're the saints who walk among us. There's a book titled Flourish by one of the people in the flow of Maslow's hierarchy of need and self-actualization. And the language that those altruists use is that they are constantly seeking ways to make the world a better place using their God-given gifts. It's very secular, so they wouldn't say God-given, but they want to be a conduit. They want to be in that flow. So we want to fit with that way of being. So a small percentage will give because giving is good. Most of us need a tangible impact. Now, the Aristotelian model still stands today. If you're wanting to persuade someone, you must address values, give a rationale, and then spend 65% of your presentation telling a story. Now, we know scientifically today that, that was 2,500 years ago. He gave us advice. It's still very accurate today. So, furthermore, science has told us that urgency is an absolute critical part of the ask. The subconscious only knows 2 times, either now or not now. So we have to say now, right now is the time. We have an urgent need. It can't be whatever or whenever. It has to be right now. So let's imagine a case study for this parish with something with a tangible impact. It's conceivable they might want to move the preschool from where it exists now in the church basement over to a building right next to the current school. The driving values are related to our children, their safety, and the well-being of school. And our school is the biggest ministry in the parish. Okay, so the rationale to move our preschool next to the school has all these logical implications, from efficiency and effectiveness down to safety. So it can be economic and values driven as well. I want to tell you a story. about a time a friend of mine didn't see the stop sign when the kids were about to cross the street, walking from the preschool over to the school, and zoomed through it without looking. It could have been horrible. Thank the Lord it was not. But boy, did it give me heart failure. The new facility will help young children, be safe, and they'll get comfortable with the big school. So these little bitty children getting comfortable with this new place that they're going to enter the next year is very important for their success and the success of the school. Now, by December 31, we've got to make a decision on a construction deposit. So if you could make a gift by December 31, you'd be really helping us and the construction committee make a decision about their next steps. So please act today. Okay, so I've tried to tie in values, the rationale, and urgency, and weave it all in a very, very brief story. Now, this has implications for you because you've got to ask with an announcement, you got to put it in print, and every other possible method, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. The bonus that we talked about in the presentation, the advertisement of this webinar, we talked about neuro-linguistics. So as you plan your messaging, please take some time to diagram it and get some input from some of your coworkers. The best way to talk about it is to deploy predicates that are sensory based. So visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. What does it look like? What does it sound like? And what does it feel like? You can't make a sales pitch that's just purely rational because it's not exciting. Okay, people cannot relate to it. So take some time. Each one of us has a dominant sensory system for expression and recall. So the largest percentage of the population is visual. So you're probably a visual person. I discovered early on, my wife is not. She's auditory. She's really good at remembering quotes and music and sounds. I myself am a more kinesthetic person. If I was selecting a car, I would want something that was very comfortable and reliable versus something with beautiful colors and flashy. So we all have these different sensory-based recall systems. We've got to do all three: visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Now, from an analytical perspective, you need to present the benefits if we do and the consequences if we don't, okay? Both sides of one single coin. Some people like the big picture, some people like details. The big picture in this circumstance is the school is our biggest ministry, and we've got to do the best possible job. The details is, remember back to when your child was in preschool and how it was a gigantic step to go to that first day of preschool and then to make the transition to the big school. So give both the big picture as well as the details. So it takes a little bit of time to develop your case. It's got to be succinct. There's a lot of literature out there about how to present that case. It's just a workshop. It use your staff and volunteers as resources to create a very brief, concrete, compelling case statement. Okay, now let's talk about, as we move towards the conclusion of this brief webinar, the how to ask really has to be a full court press. So, of course, one would announce this at services, and in that piece of paper that is the bulletin they pick up on the way out, it is expressed again with a QR code. So I can just pick up my phone, scan it, and be taken to a link on the website where I can click and make a donation. Beyond that, please also mail a letter into every home. That's kind of like the new Camaldoli Hermitage with a return envelope. Email the same exact thing out with, of course, a link that goes back to the website with an easy click to make the donation. Put it out on all your social media. The latest thing is to now send a text and make the text open up to your website with the link. Make sure your website is well prepared to receive that attention and move seamlessly into the gift. a PayPal kind of or Vanco kind of system that will seamlessly accept their gift. The easiness is really important. The number of clicks that a person will use is really becoming an issue. If I've got to click through 5 different things and figure something out, the average person gives up. A click or 2 is kind of your limit. Now, let's talk about video. Video has now become the easiest thing on the planet to use. We can record videos on our phone. I suggest 3 videos: your leader, a volunteer, and a child. So if I could get a parent and a child talking about how important it is to have the preschool next to the big school, that would be a total win. I know that the factors in me making a decision, I want a leader who I trust to explain it to me. That's really important. So get your pastor to present the case in 30 seconds, a minute at the most. But then have a volunteer who's one of my peers present the case in a video 2 days later. And then the coup de grace would be a parent and child who exemplify the case. If they could even be standing outside the preschool, that would be the best thing ever. Okay, so the videos cost nothing. They're easy to record. They're easy to upload. They're easy to email out. It's great if you space them out just a little bit, and it's okay that it is repetitive. The use of video, short videos, is best understood by looking at the explosion of TikTok and the billions of brief videos that are watched by billions of people around the world. This has changed our consciousness. We want those things. So let us fit with what people would like and expect. So get used to making TikTok videos to promote your activities. It will be with us for quite a while. Now, moving off of the case and its expression, just from a mechanical perspective, be prepared that people do write checks. They do put them in envelopes, they put a stamp on them, and they mail them in. So mailing out a solicitation letter is a pretty important thing. There'll be a time in the future when it's not, but we still do write checks. Okay, and it's going to be the bulk of the money for most churches is going to come in by check. In the printed information, in email, and your little mini brochure, please do promote the gift of assets. Use the language of appreciated assets. As of today, the Dow is at 33. Its all-time high was 36, and it's been overvalued for quite some time, but we're now back to 90% of its highest possible value. So investors, those who have significant holdings, are now more comfortable with giving some of that away. So exploit that, please. Okay, ask for a gift of appreciated assets. Remind them there are magnificent tax benefits they avoid: capital campaign, capital gains tax. It will be an enormous benefit from a tax perspective on the year-end tax filings, and they'll have a big impact on the church as well. Get your administrator to stand by and be ready to field calls. You might even want to put their name and phone number in there, and they might have a busy couple weeks. I apologize in advance, but boy, will it make a big difference in terms of giving. So please do invite that and be ready for it as well. Okay. Now we're almost done, and I just want to touch briefly on return on investment. My industry, the capital campaign industry, has a national average across all nonprofit organizations, from churches to science groups to educational to health. The return on investment is 10 to 1. For every $1 you spend, you usually raise 10. The church development return on investment is closer to 20 to 1. We're a very efficient organization. And that's without counting in the 10% increase in annual giving that happens, and the planned gifts that come in as a result of the capital campaign. So it might actually be closer to 30 to 1 or 40 to 1. But from an industry perspective, the norm is $10 raised for every $1 spent in a capital campaign. It's the best business to be in the world ever. Now, a nonprofit organization like the YMCA or your local school or the museum, everybody does an annual campaign, and industry norm there is $3 raised for every $1 spent. So that's much less efficient. However, that's still a fantastic return on investment, is it not? Don't you wish you could get that with your retirement funds? Of course, we all do. Your year-end appeal will blow all those out of the water. You will raise about $1,000 for every one that you spend. And it might be closer to $100,000 for every $1 that you spend. So should we do this? Well, I know you need it. Every single church does. I know that you need it. So should we do it? Should we spend a little bit of time? I would posit that there's nothing that you could do that is more efficient. So please do this. Spend the time. Gather together a couple of volunteers to help you think it through, and please do this. If you don't, you're just leaving money on the table. I get so excited about this. If I can help you, call me. I'll volunteer for you. This is my life. I'm an expert in this. I've raised a ton of money, and I consider it a lot of fun. And furthermore, it's deep, it's congruent with my spiritual values as well. So I'm very motivated to help you. Call me if I can help. Okay. All right. Now we're going to wrap up. Here's what we covered. Year-end giving is spectacular. There's a lot of money out there. Please do the ask, and please make it easy for people to give. Number three, the how-to is very important. So make it easy. Okay. Gather together just a mini volunteer committee for a meeting just to help you think it through. Call the meeting tomorrow. Do the meeting next week, send the stuff out the week after. You can do that. Even if you only do part of what we talked about, you could do an email campaign, and that would be fine as well. But please do something. Okay. Now, there are best practices. There is such a thing as best practices. I'm a big fan of this guy, Charles Zach. You can sign up for our free stewardship system, and we give you committee guides, training, resources. You can raise a ton of money. We help you with a year-round calendar and a 5-year plan. We give it away. Please do ask people to remember the church and their estate plans. We've learned that when somebody makes an estate gift, their regular giving increases as well. So we usually raise as much in planned gifts as we do in capital campaign gifts during our 3-year follow-up, which doesn't cost you anything if you choose to do a church capital campaign with us. 70% of all the population dies without an estate plan. If you promote estate giving, you're going to give away estate planning materials, which is kind of a ministry because a lot of people need it. So please do that. Now, another resource that I can give you for free, I feel so blessed that I have among my professional peer group a visioning facilitator. This woman is brilliant. I've worked with her for a couple of years now. You can call her for free and ask her, what's it look like to engage my parish in visioning? I have a wonderful architect, a firm that has worked on hundreds of churches that can help you at no cost. They'll happily volunteer. If you want a guesstimate on what does restoration costs or a guesstimate on construction, it costs them nothing. I have a church loan expert, a woman who manages tens of millions of dollars in church loans, who is an expert who can tell you in a heartbeat what the financial picture could look like for your church project. And I'm the capital campaign consultant. All of us will volunteer for free. And of course, we hope that you hire us in the long term, but that's not at all a requirement. We're in this to help you, and it is a joyful kind of work that we get a lot out of because it so fits with our values. So we will give those resources to you for free. If you would like those connections, give me a call. My number is as part of this. It's right here. And you can go to church-development.com and get lots of our resources. So in conclusion, thank you for joining me. If I can help you with a church capital campaign, don't hesitate to call. Look at our website. We have tons of videos and free things that we will give to you. I wish you the best and Merry Christmas. So go forth, good luck, and God bless. Bye-bye.